Okay, everybody, hello. Today I thought I would contemplate the unthinkable, and that is apply Barry Harris's very traditionally minded conception to an ultra modern composition. I would probably get yelled at for doing this, but I think it actually is very informative because it shows how Barry's language is so beautifully conceived that it can really be applied to any style. It really is just a very elegant way of describing this larger thing that we call tonality, which has been around since the Renaissance, or even before, maybe. I don't know. Ask a musicologist. Anyway, the song in question is Inner Urge by Joe Henderson. So if I even mention that song to Barry, he'd probably look at me askance and say, "You're a rocker." Anyway, yeah, he personally would not approve, but I think that he would approve that we're taking his language and evolving it and applying it broadly. So in that sense, that's my philosophical permission structure for doing this experiment. So I hope you will take this journey with me. Now, through the wonders of modern technology, I now have the chart. Okay, so here we go. Inner Urge by Joe Henderson. Let's look at the chords. So zooming in on the first chord. Zooming in a little too much on the first chord. Okay, there it is. F sharp minor 7 with a flat 5 and an 11. Okay, so I look at that and my eyes glaze over. I don't know about you, but by the time I figure that out, the song is over. So how do I simplify something like this? Okay, let's go through it step by step. F sharp, minor 7, flat 5 at 11. Okay, that means this B is the 11. I'm going to move it down here. And there is my very pretty F sharp minor 7, flat 5, and 11. Who's your daddy? How do I simplify this? Okay, well, let's go to Barry's idea that there is no such thing as a 2. When you play a 2-5-1, right? Let's say I'm doing A minor 7 to D7. Okay, the A minor 7 is the D7 because what key am I in? I'm in G. D7 is 5 of G. And the A minor is the quote unquote important minor, what many schools call the related to, of D7, meaning it's the chord found on the 5th of D7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my A minor 7, which means A minor 7 is D7, right? So if I'm playing 2, 5, 1 in G, I'll play D7 over the A minor. And then also the D7, and then land on my home. So 2-5-1 becomes 5-1. Of course, as a piano player, I would play the 2 to the 5. But if I'm improvising over it, or if I'm a horn player, I'll play just D7. Okay, that's the concept. Now, how do I apply it here? Well, this F sharp minor 7 flat 5 is really the chord that's on the 7th of G major. It's the Locrian, which is, of course, a term that Barry would never use, but that's what it is. It's the 7. And the 7 is the chord that's found on the 3rd of the 5th, which is why if I see F sharp minor 7 flat 5, I'll play D7. And of course, I'm coloring it with this 11 here, which is a borrowed diminished note. which, if you want to know more about borrowed diminished notes, there's a whole video I made on that a zillion years ago, and all the links will be in the description. But anyway, back to the topic. So my F sharp minor 7 flat 5 with an 11 is now really just D7. And I just play D7 things. Of course, the bass player is going to play the F sharp that's written in the music. Okay, so that's our very modal, crazy, modern sound. But if I play D7 on top of that, it gives it a very lyrical tonal sound. Let's take a look at the next chord. F major 7 with a flat 5. F major 7. Here's my 5th flat. There it is. Well, to me, F7, remember, we're looking for that dominant, that relative dominant. First, the F sharp minor 7 we said was really a D7 because F sharp is the 7th of G and D7 is the 5th of G. Right? So same deal here. F major 7 with a flat 5 is really the 4 of C. It's the Lydian. There's my flat 5. Okay? So again, a term Barry would never use, the Lydian. It's just C major from the 4th. Which means the dominant of C major is G7. So I'm going to think G7 here for my F major 7 with a flat 5. Again, this is about how I think of things, not what they are necessarily. Of course, it is about what they are, but it's about how I think about it. So what do we have so far? We have F sharp minor 7, flat 5, with an 11, which we just said is just D7, and F major 7 with a flat 5, which we said is just G7. So what would you rather think? F major 7 flat 5 with 11 to F major with 7 with a flat 5? Or D7 to G7? I know which I'd rather to think of. Instantly, it makes it much simpler. And it also gives you, once you start thinking in terms of the dominant, you're opening up all of the rules, half-step rules, and things that you can do over the dominant that is part of this Barry language that we learn. So, and again, there's video on almost every one of them by now. So, and I'll link to all of them in the description. So let's take this logic then and parse it out for the rest of the tune. And I think it's just simpler to go down to the blowing changes over here, because there are a lot of chromatic approaches here that you have in the head that you might not play over. And then there's one crazy one over here that you might want to play over, but we'll talk about that in a second. So what do we have so far? We have, I said I was going to do the blowing changes, wasn't I? So F sharp minor 7 flat 5 with an 11, which is really D7. F major 7 flat 5, which is really G7. This is E flat major with a flat 5, and these are all major with a flat 5. They're all the same chord, only down in whole steps. So what was G7 is over here going to be F7. So E flat major 7 flat 5. Bass player is playing an E flat. I'm playing F7. Same thing here. D flat major with a flat 5. Bass player is playing a D flat. I'm playing this thing, but this even looks right. This even looks like an E flat 7. This might be what I might play for an E flat 7. Okay. Now comes the hard part. But let's see what we have so far. We got D7, G7, F7, E flat 7. I think that's much simpler and much easier to think about and much easier to make connections. D7, G7. F7, E flat 7. It just helps me connect my lines so much easier. Same principle applies to letter D here, the fast part. E major. They're all kind of similar chords. Over here it changes. As my good friend said, annoyingly it changes over here, but it actually really doesn't, and I'll show you how. Here's this E major 9, which we said is basically, by the same logic, is F sharp 7. D flat is E flat. D is E. B is D flat. C is D. A is B. Now, the cool part here, notice that says B flat 13 with an 11, which is really, with a sharp 11. That's B flat is B flat 7. B flat 7 is B flat 7, right? So we'll just put B flat 7 on that guy. The sharp 11 being a borrowed diminished note, but we can use it or not. And then the G, we said, is A7, right? Because we're applying the same. Here's my G major 9. With a sharp 11, as it is, kind of the rest of the chords. So I'm extrapolating that it's a G major now with a sharp 11, which again is A7. And now the really cool part is that A7 will lead you right back to D7 here. Because again, we're putting in D7 for the F sharp. So let's see what that sounds like when we apply Barry's special chord scale outline idea to this. D7 up and down twice. G7 up and down twice. E flat. Sorry, the E flat is F. I'm thinking F7 for E flat major. Sharp. E flat 7 for the D flat major. E, I'm thinking F sharp major, F sharp 7. D flat, I'm thinking E flat 7. D major, I'm thinking E7. B major, I'm thinking D flat or C sharp. The C, I'm thinking D. Right? The A, I'm thinking B. B flat, I'm thinking B flat. And the G, I'm thinking A. And A leads me to D. F7. E flat 7, but again, bass player is playing that. F sharp 7, E flat, E, D flat, D, B, B flat, A, D. So if I'm going fast, I might want to just simplify and just do the first three notes. D, G, F, E flat. Now my favorite part. Starts to get a little rangy here. I might put it up the octave, but that's the idea. I could do Dearly Beloved on the whole song. D7. And you can have fun for hours. Okay, little bonus note here. You have this chord in the head that is a very cool chord. You know, what is this C over D flat, omit 5. So you have a chord over a chord. That's the horizontal line. You have a C and a D flat omit 5. So D flat major flat 5. It's like a right? Now, what is that? It's kind of like the last chord in Round Midnight, right? I'll try to do it in this key. It's like the chord of the last. I did it in this key, but anyway, I'm digressing. Let's get back to this. This D flat major 7 with a flat 5. If I lower that, I end up with just a D flat diminished, because D flat diminished and C7 are the same family. So for more on that, look at my video on the diminished genealogy. Who begat whom in the diminished family. My new term for it is the diminished mafia, the 3 families in the diminished mafia that all work together. But that's what this is. A D flat major with a flat 5 is like a D flat diminished. So you're really just moving back and forth in the same family. Because if I'm thinking E flat 7 on this chord, per the logic that we just did, well, E flat 7 is diminished family. I think for the chord outline, what Barry might do is we might go E flat 7 down to the 3rd of C. So you might go. That's how you might treat something like that in your solo. It doesn't say that in the blowing changes, but of course it would be interesting to throw it in. So let's say I wanted to do that. So I might go. Maybe I'll come down the chord from the 7 of D. Of course, the bass player is playing this root over here, the F sharp. And then maybe I'll come up to the root and do 1 half step, and then up a 5-note chord, and end up on the 5. Now I forgot what I did. Try to apply the same thing or close to it on the G7. I do a half step approach because that's in this song. So now I'm thinking F7, maybe 2 half steps from the 2nd of the F7. down to the third. And now up on arpeggio. Same thing here, and then let's see if I'm going to incorporate that diminished note. So it's E flat 7. I'm thinking second. Up an arpeggio. And then I just do the family C7. Now for the hard part, I'll just think the first 3 notes of the scale. It gives you a very tonal 5-1, A7 to D7. Anyway, I hope that this demystifies the craziness in this song, and you actually see that it's really just very cleverly hidden simplicity. That is my favorite thing about all of my favorite songs, have that attribute, that it sounds very clever and sophisticated, but when you break it down, it really is very simple. So that's why this is one of my favorite songs. And again, it's just a real testament to Barry's system that it can evolve. It is flexible enough to be able to apply it to any style. You can extract any sound, any era, modern, traditional, any era that you want to sort of play in. You can get there by thinking along these lines. What did we do? We thought about the dominant of each key center that we're looking at, no matter where the root is. And we applied the rules to it. We applied a scale outline so that we know where those dominants are located. And we went from there. So simple is better. I hope this was useful and enjoyable. By all means, please like, subscribe, share, comment. I do my best to answer as many comments as I can, answer any questions. So by all means, let's keep the conversation going. And let me know how you approach this song in the comments. I'd like to learn a thing or two. So also, if you're interested in one-on-one or semi-private group online, leave me a comment and I will I'll see whoever's interested and I'll send out invites, because that's a thing now. Hopefully be able to get some online workshops together and keep these ideas going. Thank you so much for watching, and always swing and look for the pretty notes.